Yo, I think we have an amazing subject line for today's video.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
pretty hot
it's
topic.
pretty. It's a pretty hot topic. We're gonna talk about the infamous Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith.
Hey y'all, this is Chris.
And I'm Trav.
And you watching
Fake
Fake
Rich
Rich
and
and
Tired.
Tired.
Yo, I think we have an amazing subject line for today's video.
Yeah, it's a pretty hot topic.
It's a pretty hot topic. We're gonna talk about the infamous Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith and their relationship, the things that's been said over the past couple of days or maybe weeks. So we want to dive into that.
All right, so in the past week and a half or so, we've seen headlines about Jada's Red Table Talk with Gwyneth Paltrow.
Right.
And she expressed some really intimate details about just herself and sexuality and how that has kind of formulated in their relationship. I'm trying
Right.
to sum it all up because I don't want to say what the media has said. I don't want to put my spin on it too much.
Okay.
But if you haven't seen that Red Table Talk episode, go back and watch that one. And then you can kind of get an understanding of where we're coming from. But I know y'all have seen the headlines, right?
Right. So, in seeing the headlines, there are a lot of people who are calling for Will Smith to leave Jada. They are saying that she's too embarrassing and things like that. So, my question to you is what is too much information to share? Is there a thing as too much information to share, which obviously I believe there is, but I guess I'm leaning down the road of did she share too much
Yeah, true.
information about themselves?
So my thing is,
Let me.
watch you comfortable?
Yeah.
Probably not. You're not. But just thinking about, so it's hard for me to say this.
Okay.
But to answer your question, that's gonna depend on the dynamics of your relationship and what you're willing to share. Not everybody is as open to share certain details about their relationships.
Okay.
I don't think she shared too much. I appreciated how much she shared because too many times we are afraid to talk about stuff like that.
Okay.
And then there may be, in her case, women who have felt the same way.
Right.
And they probably felt, bad about how they were feeling or whatever. So as far as what's too much to share, that's up to you and your partner and how much y'all share.
Okay.
We are on YouTube. We share, some details about our relationship. Some people
Right.
might feel like y'all are sharing too much or whatever, but it's definitely a dynamic and an understanding in your personal relationship.
Right.
What's not enough, what's too much of what you should share, to me.
I am athlete with Chad Ochocinco, Fred Johnson, I believe.
Them.
Brandon Marshall. Anyway, I'm sorry, but anyway, the thing came up about sharing too much because of Chad Johnson and some of the things that he shows on his social media or his platform or whatever with him and his wife. And for me, I believe that there is a fine line of what is too much, but I think it comes with a certain comfort level of what you already know about your spouse or your significant other. There are certain things that you know about me, my vulnerable points. You know not to share that, and vice versa. There's certain vulnerable points that you have that I know I'm not going to show on social media.
Right.
So I think there's that line that we automatically or instinctively get because of how long we've been together. When we talk Will and Jada, they've been together so long
Longer than
that
us.
I believe they know what those lines are.
And that was my concern with not necessarily your question, but as much as people are saying, they're saying, oh, she keeps embarrassing Will or whatever.
Right.
And I ain't never seen
He don't
Will
seem to be
said
embarrassed.
he ain't never said he was embarrassed.
I mean, now we'll say with that that entanglement, he was visibly hurt. I think.
But you have to know that he didn't want to talk about that. So not necessarily the fact,
Yeah.
because he knew the situation well before we did.
Right.
So it wasn't necessarily about him being upset or embarrassed. It was him probably not wanting
I'm trying to
sit
put
and
this
talk
behind
about
me.
this situation.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm trying to put this behind me. It's a sore subject. I get the transparency part, so this is something that I have to deal with because I choose to, but it don't mean that it's an easy subject for me to talk
Right.
about.
But just to get back to the question, like the level of what you want to share is up to you. The problem is social media and how they want to take and interpret things.
Okay.
So just to go back to the whole, oh, Will needs to leave her and all this other stuff. It's like, well, one, y'all don't know what Will has done in all these years. He just ain't got a red table to sit down and talk about all of it. He's expressed some things,
Right.
but he ain't talked about all of it. If this situation had been reversed, if Will had told somebody, and this is not what Jada said, but I'm saying going off the headlines and how people put it. If Will had said, you know, I have to make adjustments because of I've been with my wife for 20 some years, and it's, you know, we got to do things differently in order for me to be pleased. Would it have been viewed the same?
I honestly believe so.
You do.
I do believe so. Nowadays, with cancel culture and everything that's going on in this society where they are ultra sensitive, I honestly believe Will Smith, being the golden boy that he is, Will Smith has been portrayed as this super wonderful husband, X, Y, and Z. I honestly believe that there would be hella fallout if he said sex with my wife is trash in some way, shape, or form. Like if he said whatever, however he might have said it, I honestly believe there would be fallout for him in this day and age. Would I believe that as of 5 to 10 years ago? No. Like it would be stereotypical, or it would be the typical thing that we do to men in this patriarchal society. We praise them for certain things, and we kind of badmouth or whatever. We don't give women that same due. Word the shoe on the other
appreciate your
foot.
optimism. I do not agree.
You don't?
I think that if Will has said exactly what Jada said, the ways that she said it, it wouldn't have been, oh, Will need to leave her and all this. It would have been, oh, well, he been with her 20 years and her sex must be trash, her cat must be bad. Like, I don't think that it would have been anywhere near the same type of reaction with a man saying the exact same thing that she said. Not what the media portrayed her to say, because
of course
she had to come back on Twitter and clap back. Like, I ain't never say I was unhappy. Like, y'all twisting my words. But if he would have said, I have to find ways to help her understand how I need to be pleased, it wouldn't have been, oh, he embarrassing her. I feel like it would have been, oh, her cat obviously trash, or something like that.
I got you. I think so. That it was kind of a loaded question because we're talking about the one particular incident. However, the coverage that we're seeing now is a buildup of multiple events. So my answer still stands that in a buildup of multiple events, he would be treated just the same. He would be a trash ass dude who is embarrassing his wife.
We can agree to disagree, because I don't agree that Will would be looked at the same.
Okay. What else we got?
So one of the things she talked about was you expect your partner to know what you want.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't express that. So we talked a little bit about mind reading. So I want you to kind of talk about.
I think when you are in a relationship, whether it's 3 months in or whether it's 30 years in, I think there is a certain expectation that comes with you being with me. You know my mood swings, this is that and the other. So now there's this certain level of expectation of you should know what it is that I require. It's not right, but I've seen it all too often, and we've experienced it. We still experience it. So I don't know. It's there. There's that expectation.
And that's why I definitely agree with
Yeah.
what she was saying, because you, especially being with somebody for 20 something years,
Yeah.
it's like you don't know about now, but it is wrong, like you said, because what I'm feeling, what I need ain't always the same.
True.
So how should I expect you to always know what I feel or what I need?
That's why we got to communicate.
And that's why I wanted to
And
talk
my
about
needs
this.
change from time to time.
And your needs. So
You know what I mean?
if I think I got to give you what you needed last month, that ain't.
This
what you
month
need
it might
this
be
month.
different.
As she spoke, I related to a lot of what she had to say.
Okay.
Being in a relationship for so long,
Yeah.
I'm like that. I can understand what she's saying. I feel like me saying, I don't always feel like you know.
What it is that you're wanting at that moment.
It's not saying that I'm unhappy with you and my sex life.
Agreed.
So when I heard her say that, and I'm seeing what people are saying, I'm like, that's not what she said.
Right. Like, how did they pull this apple out of this orange tree?
But I'm wondering if it's because I relate and
Yeah.
I understand. I had to step out and see, and I see where people were mixed up
Okay.
because they didn't watch the full episode.
Today's culture.
You can take 2 or 3 words somebody says.
And demonize and disenfranchise. I just wanted to use that word, I swear. But seriously, demonize somebody and potentially cause some ripples in a marriage because of how you're internalizing it because you didn't even watch the doggone.
Jada Pinkett Smith is unhappy with her sex life with Will. That's not what she said.
Yeah.
But any experienced
Conscious,
person
yeah.
in a relationship would understand. Like, a lot of the people that actually are reflecting on what she said are not people who've been in long-term relationships.
Right.
So
Right.
you can't relate it.
That's why you would say, I'd have been left her ass and all of this stuff. Because, well, and I can't speak for every long-term relationship. I can speak for ours. We had to fight through some shit. Like, we had to fight. Right, and we still fight. Literally, right before filming, we was arguing. But we had some tension. There was some tension
That's
built
our
up.
word, y'all.
There was some tension. But that tension in comparison to some of the shit we've been through, forgive my language, but real shit, like, in comparison to some of the shit we've been through, was nothing. So,
which is why we can sit here right now, and this is genuine. Like, we ain't faking. We was 10 minutes ago at each other's throats, but that stuff is like...
It goes back to our previous video. Y'all got to go watch them. But 16...
The marriage tips.
Yeah, the marriage tips. Like, sometimes you just got to know when to shut up. It doesn't seem like they're allowing the media to affect their relationship, which is hella dope. But there's a lot of scrutiny that comes with sharing that type of information, which I think they are, from what I can tell, okay with. They understand because it comes with the lifestyle that they have.
When people say, oh, I don't care what other people think, like, that's not a natural human instinct. We do, to some extent. Whether it's small or large, we do. And that would affect me because, one, especially if I'm like Jada, I'd be like, that's not what I said. They took me out of context. But it affects you. And then you start thinking about other stuff. And it's like, man, should I have said that? Should I, share that? But I hope she doesn't regret anything because there probably millions of women out there
that needed to hear that
and were like,
needed to know they're
I'm
not
normal.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like, how would that, like, we're not superstars, but it would only take one person to be like, well, Chris said, trash in the bed. Like, I'll be like, I didn't say that.
Right.
I said I have certain needs, or I have a trouble expressing it, or I have trouble with him understanding how I express, whatever she
Right.
said. So that would affect me.
Right.
So, and we don't know totally how it affects them, because they
True.
go into their space and they communicate
Yeah.
it, because that's what you do in a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I don't.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say it wouldn't affect me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Out of all of this, one of the things that Jada and Gwyneth mentioned was the accountability portion of it. You have to have a certain level of accountability on your part. Like, for me personally, there's a certain level of accountability that comes with this relationship and our sexual relationship. There's a certain level of accountability that I have to have.
Let me try to see if I understand.
Okay.
So just like I have certain expectations of you,
Mm-hmm.
I have to be accountable to make those expectations clear to you. Is that kind of what we're
Yes.
getting to? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So
You,
that's one.
Yes.
That's one.
Okay.
So if my part in the accountability part, just as if it's me and I'm like, oh, there's something that I feel like I need,
Mm-hmm.
I can't just assume.
Right.
I got to find somewhere to be like, this is what I need.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's exactly where my mind goes when I think accountability, whether it's communication on our sex life or communication on our relationship as a whole. There's a certain level of accountability that I have to make sure you understand what my desire is. Mm-hmm. Be it a general desire, like you could do this all the time and that works, or when things switch up for me, I need to make sure to communicate that to you somehow. Okay. I can't expect you to just get it and to just naturally vibe. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love when we are in that element, when we just get it and we naturally vibe. That happens a lot with our sex life and every other aspect of life. It happens a lot. But there are some times where we miss the mark. And I have to make sure to hold myself accountable in those times to say, okay, well, did I communicate it properly? Did I react in a way that kind of made this situation go left or X, Y, and Z? You know, the accountability part for me is huge, because when things are not working well, it's because typically there's some sort of miscommunication. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's the accountability piece for me.
Like, I totally agree. However, you don't always
know it.
Find that in the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm a reflector,
mm-hmm.
but in the moment, I'm not. Like, tomorrow, I'll come back and say the thing we had tension about 10 minutes before this video started. I'll come back and say, you know what? Like, I get that, you know, I was, you know, saying this or doing this. Like, I get. But in the moment, I might not hold myself accountable. And that's what makes stuff tough.
Yeah.
But you don't always see that in the moment. So accountability, you gotta have it. But if I'm thinking about my wants and my needs and my desires at the moment, I might not put that in the front. Like, it's like,
fuck thinking rational right now.
This is what I want.
Yeah.
So and I'm not saying this is good. I'm saying,
but it makes hella sense, and
that's how it happens.
It's what we experience. Yeah. It makes hella sense. Absolutely. Yeah. With everything that was said, I think it was taken out of context. I think people need to watch the full episode, because the full episode, when I tell you, is the truth. It's the truth. There are a lot of topics that is covered that's more than just what Jada said about Will. Like,
That's such a small part of the episode.
And the only reason why I watched the episode is because of the buzz that was surrounding it. And when I watched the episode, at first I was frustrated because of, I'm like,
you were trying to find what she said.
What the hell did she say? But as I'm looking at the episode, like, they had some gems in there. Gwyneth Paltrow, Ma Dukes, Jada, and even
Willow.
Willow
Was
First of all,
gems.
Willow is my G. Like, I love Willow. I don't want to drag this out, so I'm trying to wrap up. But Willow is my G. Like, I love anytime I watch Red Table Talk, I love free-spirited thinkers. And I love the way they raise their kids to be free-spirited thinkers. But that's a whole nother video, because I'm sure people have their ideas of what should and shouldn't be with their parenting.
Y'all comment and see if we want to talk about parenting.
Do we want to talk about
how
that?
They parent their kids.
Y'all let us know that. We can talk about it. But anyway, my synopsis or my recap, it's dope. Y'all took stuff out of context, or people took stuff out of context. She didn't say they bedroom activities was trash. She only spoke facts, speaking from a person that's been married decades, that sometimes it gets tough. Sometimes there's obstacles, whether it's mental or physical. What else? And yeah, some people are just looking for a story, and some people are just out to put that negative propaganda out.
Yeah.
Especially with such a powerful couple. And it doesn't help that there was some lead up to it with the entanglement and blah, blah, blah. Because they're transparent, it just gives people more to talk about.
Yep.
Those that are not transparent, you don't know what they're going through. And I appreciate Will and Jada for their transparency.
Me too.
So that's my recap.
When I first saw the episode, I thought nothing big of it.
Right.
But then I saw the headlines, so I was like, dude,
We need to talk about this.
we need to talk. He was like, for what?
I heard the headlines,
He
and
was
I'm
like-
ain't shit to talk about. Like, she felt her way. Like, whatever.
Because as a couple being together for a lot of amount of years, you could see where it was coming from.
Yeah.
So you was like, what we talking about?
Yeah,
like
this is normal,
it's
isn't
normal. That's the word.
it? Like, is
It's
this not normal? I didn't see it. I was trying to see it. I'm
Oh, you were
like,
trying to see the point.
What is everybody making a big fuss about?
Right.
Like, that's what I was trying to do. And I had a conversation with my wife, because she's like, oh, we need to talk about this. And I'm like, what's there to talk about? Like, I really don't see what there is to talk about. Okay, she has her moments in which shit is difficult in the bedroom. Who doesn't? Like,
People who are not in long-term relationships.
but I'm curious, if you're in a long-term relationship and
Or
you've
have ever
never
been.
had, or have ever been, and you've never had any issues in the bedroom, and when I say issues, I mean, do you get it when you want it? Is there a period of, I want to do something different, but they're not with it? Whatever it may be, like, whatever y'all got, give it to us so we can talk about it and all of that good stuff. Leave y'all comments. Please share this video. I would love for y'all to share this video. Wherever that bell is, hit it, subscribe. But we definitely will read the comments. We'll interact. We might make videos based on it. And hopefully soon coming up, we'll be able to do things like introduce prizes and XYZ
Okay,
to...
I'm editing all this out because he's telling y'all too much. No, kind of like Will and Jada, we want people to see the ins and outs of marriage, mindset, and money too.
This is life. This is just the
It's
Travis's
just us.
perspective.
And we like to also share because we get feedback on a lot of different
Yeah.
stuff. So we might put out something. There are videos that we did that I started out that I'm like, oh, I don't think that way anymore.
Exactly.
So please, that's why we like y'all to comment and interact
Yeah.
because that helps us to sit down. We sit down and talk, and we're like, this, this comment that said, Jada is trash because this. And then we'll discuss. It
gives
that.
us something to talk about,
and we might change some stuff because of this. So I love that.
We're forever trying to grow, and
always growing.
I think that's the key point. We're forever trying to grow, so we want feedback, we want opinions and stuff like that for us to sit and chop it up over. Because at the end of the day, we want to grow, and we want to help you all grow as well in marriage, mindset, and money. That being said, let's grow together.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Trav.
And you're watching Fake, Rich, and Tired. Bye, y'all.